Hello everyone, welcome to another TLDR video. I am your host, Video Pickles, and today we're going to be talking about the first book in the Jedi Academy trilogy, Jedi Search, written by Kevin Anderson. It was published in 1994, and this is one of the ones that was voted on by my community in my Discord and my Patreon. So we're going through all of the books that we own, or that I own physically, and this one won out. And I gotta say, it was an interesting book. It only took me a few days to read it. So this book follows three storylines. Mainly. You start off with Han Solo and Chewbacca on the Millennium Falcon, and they are going to a planet called Kessel to try and open up some negotiations. They're from the New Republic to Kessel to get trying to build up their forces a little bit. They get there, they get shot down. They find out that Kessel has no idea about the New Republic. They had their own little thing going on. So what happened in Kessel was an Imperial prison. And in that Imperial prison, you had some corrupt guards, and they were all led by a creature named Duel. And when the Empire was doing other stuff, trying to tear down the rebellion and everything, Duel led a coup. And with this coup, took over the prison and started building up the forces and everything with it, trying to be like, nobody's going to take this from me. It's mine, mine, mine all alone. And getting ready to open up trade with other people, most likely the Empire. He had no idea all of this went on, but he's got a beef with Han Solo, which goes back to the original movies where Han Solo was being hunted down by Jabba the Hutt. So we get to realize what was going on with that. So Duel shoots down Han and Chewbacca, realizes it's them, decides he's going to put them in a mine and just kind of mess with them there. Han is like, there's a New Republic there. Him and Leia have been married for years at this point. They have 3 children. They have one set of twins, and they have an infant, a 6-month-old. And so he's trying to explain to Duel, like, things have changed a little bit. Duel realizes that he's not lying, that the Empire is down, the Emperor is dead, like, all of this stuff is going on, and he's like, oh, shit. I should not have struck down the New Republic's ambassador, but I'm going to keep him in the mine. It's going to be fine. I can deal with this. I can smooth this over. And so that's one story that we start off with in this book. The second story is of Leia. Leia is no longer a princess because she's like, I can't be princess to a world that is gone. And she's a mom, and she is building up the New Republic's political system, their Senate. She's not the leader of the political system. That is Mon Mothma. But she's a senator within this New Republic, within this political system. She now lives in the Emperor's old palace, and she is trying to deal with all of the demands of running all of these political systems, running all of these things. She's talking about treaties with alien species that even the Empire didn't have contact with, and trying to do all of these things, trying to get everybody to coordinate together and build up the New Republic. So she's a little busy. And like I said, she has 3 kids with Han Solo. But with Luke told her that her children are going to be Jedis. They're going to be Jedi children, and that Jedi children have to be protected. Within the first 2 years of their life, they have to be protected and kind of sequestered off because they are super susceptible to the dark side. So once she had her children, she had to send them with her most trusted person, and them and Luke and I think Admiral Akbar or somebody else. I don't remember quite at this moment. But they are taken to an island that is protected, that's not on any maps, that nobody knows about. Even she is not allowed there. Like, she gets to see her children with Han Solo every 3 to 6 months for the first 2 years of their life. So she's she's worried about what kind of mother she is. She's trying to figure out how to go through all of this. With her twins, they're about to be 2 years old, so they're ready to come back to her almost. So she is worried about that. She's worried how she's going to juggle all of this stuff. And along with the Jedi training that Luke is just like, you have to be better Jedi. You have to do this more better Jedi training and everything. And she snaps at him. She's like, I have a lot to do. She's like, maybe I don't want to be like you. And it brings up all the things that he's gone through within the movies and within the previous trilogy before this, which there was maybe two. I don't know. There was a trilogy before this book. I haven't read it, but I heard it was really good. And this book calls back to a lot of what happened with it. So she's trying to navigate how to be Leia, how to be best, what she's trying to do, while worrying about Han, because Han hasn't checked in with her once he got to Kessel. And so there's this whole thing there, and she's trying to navigate that. Her children are about to come back. She's like, all right, cool. And then there's the third main storyline, which is Luke. Luke, at the beginning of the book, he went to the New Republic Senate and told them that he needs to set up the Jedi Academy again. He said he has some potential recruits that he's going to go, but he needs the support of the new Senate. He needs resources. He needs to be able to find a planet that this training will happen on, and gives a backstory about the Jedi Knights. And he's like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to build up the Jedi Knights again. And everybody agrees, like, this should be a priority. So he goes off and he's trying to find recruits. And his first one is to El Shah. E-O-L Shah. And he's going to try and go do find out if there's a recruit there. Through his training with Leia, he's able to figure out a way to check mentally if somebody is in touch with the Force and everything. So he has R2-D2, C-3PO combing through Imperial records to find out if they can find any potential Jedi recruits. So these are the main storylines going through. And the book separated in the different chapters are different POVs. So we're winding through and we get to see how all of these stories kind of interconnect. So the first one with Han. Han is on Kessel. He's in the mines. He meets a person that he thinks has a potential to be a Jedi recruit. And him and Chewie and this guy Kip are going through the mines trying to find ways to escape. The mines are pitch black because the glitter stem that is within the mines, that's what they're harvesting and mining for, is activated when it touches light. So it can't touch light. So it's pitch black. The guards get some infrared goggles, and that's how they work. There's also a monster in the mines killing people that go down into it. They kill the miners, they kill the guards, they kill the foremen, all that stuff. Anytime something happens, that's what's going on there. And so he's trying to figure out a way to escape. They actually find a way to escape when the monster attacks. And by that time, Duel is just like, I can't do this anymore. We have to kill Han. We have to kill Chewbacca. We have to make sure that nobody ever finds their ship. Nobody knows. Like, Leia calls there after she's gotten worried enough. And he's like, oh no, nobody's here like that. I don't know. What are you talking about? Ambassadors sent here? No, why? We wouldn't kill them or anything. Like, he gets super sus on this communications enough that she's just like, I need to send a team there to see what's going on here. And so he's like, we're going to kill Han, we're going to kill Chewie and everything. They escape out of the mines and they find a ship that they're able to take into the atmosphere to try and escape, but there's no navigations. It's a cargo ship, so there's no weapons or anything like that. And the way Kessel is a malformed planet that can't hold an atmosphere. So you have machines that are building an atmosphere, but Duel styles those down to save energy and money from when he was in the prison service. And so it's malformed. He created a whole force of prisoners and guards that he trusted that are going to be patrolling around the area so nobody can steal the planet for him. And there's a maw. They call it the maw. It is a area where there are clusters of black holes, and it's right by Kessel. So like in space, Kessel would be here, the maw would be here, and they can't really go anywhere. They can't really do anything. So they decide they're going to go into the maw, and Kip tells him he needs to steer. He steers. He's using the Force to navigate through black holes, and that's where they're at right there. And then we head back to Leia, who's trying to figure out how to get more ambassadors on her side. There's this guy who's super rude. Like he doesn't spit. He throws his drink in Mon Mothma's face, tells him that the rebels will be taken out and the Republic will be squashed by the Empire when it decides to come back again. And she has the twins there. The twins are super in tune with the Force and make C-3PO's just life like just crazy, kind of like a hell. Like they're torturing this poor droid. And so she's trying to navigate that. She's finding the refugees, trying to find them places to live. She's worried about Han, and she is trying to find Luke a planet to work on. Luke goes off. He finds 2 recruits. He finds Gantoris, who is on Ealshot, and he finds a second recruit, Strain, on Bespin. And then so he takes Strain and Gantoris and he takes them back to the planet where Leia is at. And that's when he finds out that Han is missing and that Leia is worried about what's going on. And during this time, well, a little bit before that, Lando shows up with Leia, and she sends him on my favorite adventure in this book. Like, it was great. She sends him to the planet Umgul, which has famous blob races. And she sends him there to try and find a potential recruit for Luke. He takes C-3PO, he takes R2-D2, he takes his ship because his current adventure that he was backing, his last investment, he lost in a card game. So he just kind of like, I don't have anything to do. And she's like, hey, would you like a job? And so he gets to that planet. It's a gambling planet. Their whole economy centers around these blob races. And so what they're looking for is they're looking for a recruit who only wins large blob races and never small ones. Like statistics and everything, they're like, this doesn't make sense. Maybe he's using the Force. So they go there. There's a whole thing. Like the way it's a whole chapter. I think it's like a whole 2 chapters in the book. And the way that the blob races are written was very intense, very in-depth. I was rooting for some of these blobs, and like one of them got completely morphosized with another one, and I was like, oh no, like it was real emotions happening here with this blob race. But they find the potential recruit, and Lando's like, something's off. I don't know what it is, but something don't feel right here. They take a scan of him with this old Imperial scanner that detects if people have the Force in them, if they can use the Force. And it's how they used to hunt down Jedi and kill them off previously. So they found this technology, and Luke's like, we can use this. And so he takes a scan of him, doesn't see anything on the scan, and he's like, all right, something's really off. So Lando sends R2-D2 to like keep an eye on this kid whose name is Timu. Keeps an eye on him, and they follow him to the blob stables. And when they're there, R2-D2 is pretending to be a maintenance droid, just doing maintenance droid things. Like Timu sees him but doesn't pay attention because he's like, obviously that's a maintenance droid. So Lando and 3PO are following at a safer distance, trying to see what's going on. And Lando tells 3PO to magnify his vision to keep an eye on Timu to see what he's doing, to see if he can like see what's going on, because Timu's dressed as a blob wrangler and is messing with one of the blobs. So 3PO gets really excited and tells him he injected the blob with something, which alerts Timu to that there's somebody there watching him. A firefight just erupts out of nowhere. 3PO gets covered in slime by one of the blobs because he scared it. So the blob jumped and got scared and just like running down him, gunking up his works. And he's freaking out about that. Lando's shooting his blaster, trying to get, not kill Timu, but not disable. I swear, I know words. Incapacitate him. He's trying to incapacitate him. Timu's trying to kill Lando. And then R2's just kind of wandering around, just like doing maintenance droid things until Timu doesn't see him anymore. And then he trips Timu. He catches Timu. And by this time, all of the guards are waking up, the whole law enforcement side. The guy who owns the blob races and is like the running governor guy of this planet is just shows up, and he's ready to like arrest everybody. And then Lando explains to him that he's from the New Republic and that he was searching for Temu. And then he found out that Temu was probably cheating in the blob races, which is a capital offense on this planet. It is death. You are sentenced to death if you are caught cheating in the blob races. So Temu's like freaking out, and Lando is just like telling 3PO to analyze the blob, analyze the thing. They find out that Temu has been injecting blobs with this little microchip. When he activates it while he's in the stands, it sends like a flight or fight response to these blobs, but there's no fight in these blobs. They're all flight. So that's how he gets hit the blob that he selects to go faster, and then that one wins, and that's when he cashes out with these big pools of within the blob races. And then once they win, he presses another button on this little remote he has, and the chip explodes, and it leaves around trace amounts of materials that nobody really looks at. It's like, that's not really anything. It looks like it just came from debris from the obstacle course. So nobody's been suspecting this. He explains that this is probably what's happening, like Temu's cheating. He noticed that something was wrong, and then Temu tells him that his name isn't actually Temu, it's Dak. And Dak was a consort for a duchess on a neighboring planet who was deciding to come to the blob races in the next week. Dak hacked the system when this computer system when this duchess was trying to find a consort. So he figured, if I'm a consort to a duchess, I will no longer be poor. I will be super rich. I just have to, marry the duchess, do my consort duties, and then I'll be fine. I can just chill for the rest of the time. But when he hacked this system, he made the duchess think that that's her perfect match. Like, that's her soulmate. So he won this whole little contest thing that they were doing to find a consort for him. They get married, but because she thinks that he's her soulmate, she never lets him out of her sight. She's always up in his Kool-Aid, and he's like, I can't stand it anymore. I can't do it. She's like, she won't leave me alone. He's like, I was getting anxiety attacks. I was getting panic attacks. But because she was like, oh no, Dak's getting panic attacks, anxiety attacks, I need to be there for him more. He's like, she would never leave him alone. So he decided to run away. And he ran away to Ungul. And while he's there, he wins these big races to get money to live off of. That's his only source of income. He uses his technology wizardry to cheat in these blob races to win, to live. And he decided that every day he was going to make a race a big winner because she was showing up next week. He needed money to bounce off of that planet. So the governor guy is just like, we're going to kill him. We're going to kill him. We're going to set an example and everything. And Lando's like, there may be another way. Have you thought about the repercussions if you kill the Duchess's consort after she has a 1 million credit bounty on him? He's like, what if we split it? And what if you let her know, hey, we found your beloved consort? He's like, imagine what that would do politically for your planet. And so the governor's like, sounds like a great idea. You know what? We'll let him decide. And so it's death or go back to the Duchess. So Temu/Dak is just like, I'll go back to the Duchess. And that's my favorite chapter in the whole book. Like, overall, the stories were pretty great, but that one was my favorite one. So Lando goes back to the planet with Leia, and then that's when he and Luke get sent out to Kessel to try and find Han and Chewie. And throughout all of this, Leia is still trying to do the political things. We get to see how she's interacting with all of these people on the political sphere, as well as the new recruits that Luke had brought to her planet for safekeeping until they can find a planet for them to go to, which she does find. She's able to find all of these things. There's only one time where she slipped up, and this whole book politically that caused people to be upset. And that was when her children got sick. And one of the people who called her got really upset and annoyed with her. And he's like, well, if you weren't sitting at home playing nurse, this would be done. And she snapped at him. And I was just, throughout this whole book, I was just like, go Leia. Yes, go Leia. Like, I was really happy with how she went from having the rebellion and running the rebellion, from being a princess, all the way to how she's navigating as an adult and as a mom within this political sphere. I was like, kudos to you. I can't wait to see how more your story expands. And even then, she was like, it's not a big deal. She was like, because Mon Mothma was there. She's like, it's fine. Like, they meet weekly. It's okay. He'll be fine. And so Lando and Luke go to Kessel to try and find Han, and they're met by Duel. Duel is there, and he's just like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Like, it was just weird. We just kind of opened up our borders again, except they're not going as a part of the New Republic. Lando's going as a potential investor in the mining that they have going on there. So they're being shown around as potential investors. Duel's like salivating at this point to be like, yes, we can bring money, we can have this in. And while he's there, Luke is pretending to be like his like right-hand man, and is using the Force to try and find traces of Han and Chewie, and can't find them at all. But Han and Kip and Chewie went into the maw. Like I said, Kip was navigating those black holes. They got to the center of the maw, and they were just like, we're fine. Everything's going to be fine. We'll figure out what to do after this. And then surprise, they are not fine. There's a whole Imperial fleet in there. There's like four destroyers in there, and there's TIE fighters all over the place. They are taken prisoner yet again by an Imperial fleet, where we meet Admiral Dala. Admiral Dala was trained and like mentored by Grand Moff Tarkin, and he's the one who had the plans for the Death Star and everything. And she was put in place of this Maw installation, is what they call it. And her job is to protect the scientists that are at that installation and build up her forces to be ready to leave at any minute's notice. But her main priority is to protect the scientists. The scientists that are there have been plucked from different systems. There's one of them in there that was trained from a very young age to create things. And she's the one who actually originally invented the Death Star. So that's what these scientists do. They find creative and new ways for the Empire to destroy things on a large scale. And when they figure something out, they send out a droid type of little satellite thing that goes outside of the Maw installation, outside of the black holes, and it's picked up by Imperial forces, is taken directly to Tarkin. Tarkin takes credit for it, and he's like, I have this new thing, it's great, we're gonna do this, and cool. So nobody really knows that they're there, but Dala was able to be ruthless enough and capable enough that she rose to the rank of Admiral, which is remarked on a lot in this book, because they're like, the Emperor was very well known to be like, he did not like alien species or women, and so he did not promote them most of the time. So the fact that she got to Admiral speaks to like her abilities, and the fact that there's alien scientists there also is just like, huh. Like, they talk about the whole how that happened in the book. And so they're taken hostage. Han and Chewie are taken hostage, and Kip are taken hostage by Dala, and Dala is questioning them, trying to figure out. There's been no contact with the Empire because it's gone, but she didn't know that. She had no idea. They were sequestered off all by themselves. They just figured that something probably happened, but not as big as what happened. And they pull all of this information out of Han using torture devices. And she's freaking out. And she's like, oh my God, the Empire's gone. Like, the Emperor's dead. She's like, Tarkin's dead. They bring up the Death Star that was destroyed, and she starts freaking out, and he's like, and Han's like, and so the second one, and she's like, whoa, the second one? And he's like, yeah, and we destroyed that too. And so she's getting a lot of new revelations with this. So she decides that she's going to take her fleet, and she is going to crush the New Republic and rebuild the Empire. Hi, Percy. So that's what she's decided she's going to do. And she's going to use her brand new weapon, which the scientist that built the Death Star, Zu, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's an alien name. She's an alien species. And she has built the Sun Crusher. The Sun Crusher is a small, impenetrable, indestructible ship that creates supernovas out of suns and stars. And so she's planning on using that. She's going to crush the New Republic. Han's freaking out because she's planning on doing this, but he also gets to interact with Kui, who, once you find out her backstory, it's super tragic and very dark. Very on brand, though, for the people who are doing the things at the time. And so he gets a hold of her. He starts telling her all of the terrible things that happen. She figures out that she's been lied to by Dala. She's like, that's a no-no on this. And she decides she's going to free Han, and they're going to escape. So she frees Han. He gets into a stormtrooper's armor and cracking jokes the whole time, and then they go save Kip and have him get into some stormtrooper armor, and then they go get Chewie under the guise that Queen needs them for experiments. She needs them for an experiment. She needs them to help with the maintenance because Dala's like, get the Sun Crusher ready today. Like, whatever you need, I will give it to you. Get it ready as soon as possible. We are going to attack. And so she uses that authorization to get Chewie, and they go back, and they're able to get into the Sun Crusher and shoot through the windows of this destroyer. And they shoot straight through another destroyer, destroying the destroyer. And then they leave out of the maw to go navigate the black holes and try and get out of the maw. And Lando and Luke find the Millennium Falcon on Kessel, and they're saying, we're just going to do a routine random inspection on some ship to make sure you're not pulling one over on us, and we're gonna check that one. And it just happens to be the Millennium Falcon. They go in, they realize it is the Millennium Falcon, it is Han's ship. Han was there. They steal the Millennium Falcon, go off into the atmosphere. All of Kessel's forces are trying to get them and shoot them down. Duel's freaking out. He's like, they're with the New Republic. Kill them, kill them, kill them, kill them. And they get out into the atmosphere, and Luke's like, go into the maw. I can navigate using the Force. And right before they go in, and they have all this forces following them, Han and Chewie come out in the Sun Crusher, and they almost collide, and they're just like going off. And Han sees it's a Millennium Falcon, gets super just angry. He's like, who the piss is flying my ship? And they go through a secure communication, realize that, okay, it's Han and Chewie, it's Luke and Lando, everything's fine. We're gonna get the navigations ready to go so we can all just like warp the fuck out of here. And while the forces are coming after them from Kessel, Dala's fleet comes out of the maw, and they just start fighting. Like, as soon as they see each other, they just start fighting. There's this huge firefight, and we don't get to see the end of it or anything, because while they're firefighting and they're shooting all over the place, Luke, Lando, Han, Chewie, and Kit get away. They're able to warp forward, and they get away. And Leia finds them a planet that they're going to start training in the Jedi Academy with. She's able to reconnect with Han. They're just so excited to be together. He sees his children there, tells them exactly what has been going on with Dala, and that there's this whole other fleet out there who was chasing them out of the maw. And then Kui also is just like, all right, they're going to take my invention, like my life's work, and they're going to take it apart. And she's trying to she's trying to navigate how she's going to not be a threat in the New Republic, but also fight against the threat. And that's kind of where we leave. We end it like wrapping up all three of these stories pretty nicely. Like Leia gets more confident in what she's doing. She's becoming a more badass senator and able to, it reminds me of when I worked in operations and you had all of these fires and catastrophes going on. You're just like, all right, well, we're gonna fix this, this, and this, and we're just kind of gonna move this, all these moving pieces everywhere. And I was just, it made me feel good because I'm like, I know that feeling. I understand that feeling. There's sometimes I miss it, but it's pretty great. They're able to wrap that up to where we feel very confident in the ending in that one. Han and Chewie's adventure is over with them escaping Kessel and realizing what the hell happened there. And Luke is founding his academy with some new recruits. And so it's very interesting. And this is a 3-book series, and it was voted on by my community that'll be reading the second one, starting that one soon, The Dark Apprentice. And I'm very excited. I mean, look at these covers. Look at these. It's very great. I'm very excited. Is it a totes or no? Obviously, it is a totes. I rated this a 5 stars. I enjoyed all the characters. I enjoyed the dialogue. I enjoyed the action sequences in this were written super well. The story was amazing, which is really great because I have not enjoyed a lot of the newer Star Wars content that has been coming out. I have not enjoyed it. I am not a fan. And so to go back and to read some of these interesting stories that were going on was just pretty great. And it was just, it felt refreshing. It felt really refreshing. Like if there was a movie or TV show about this, I would be super happy, but I'm worried that won't, like, it'd be ruined. But it is a great first book to a trilogy, and I can't wait to read the second one. But thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, afternoon, whatever it is, where you are. And I don't know where these books would be found if they're like widely available anymore. I know that there was an issue with some of these stories being taken out of print and out of mainstream type of areas because of things. And so I'm going to put a link down below if I can find it with your local bookstore. We'll try and start putting that in the description of these videos, and then the older videos of any book that I'm reading or talking about, so you can find it within your local bookstores, because don't support Amazon, support your local bookstore. And also a link for your local library if you're within the United States. Support your local library. My local library has a ton of Star Wars books. Like it has like a whole shelf full of Star Wars books, so maybe yours does too. Who knows? If you don't feel like buying it from a local bookstore, check out your local library. And I hope you guys have just the most amazing day. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to do all of the YouTube things, like, subscribe, all of that. And then I should be coming out with the full in-depth review of this. I'm going to try and prioritize those ones that my community votes on. So if you want to be a part of that community, you want to see all of the books that I have almost 300 novels, which is crazy. So we're going through reading them all one by one. If you want to vote on that, you want to see the list of that, the links are going to be down in the description for my Discord, my Patreon, any of that stuff. It's posted all over the place, my socials, and I'll hopefully talk to you guys soon. Bye.